All right, welcome everyone to today's webinar. Thanks for joining us. Today's webinar is a double feature. We're doing save time with automated tools for gate access security and staff tipping. So basically, we're going to hear first from Inex Tech for the first 20 or so minutes, and they're going to tell us about their automated gate access and license plate recognition. And then we'll have a Q&A period, after which we will get started with the second half of the webinar, which is going to be with TopTipper, and then we'll have another Q&A for them after that. And then for both Q&As, we also have ResNexus training specialist Casey Gibson to help out with the ResNexus side of things for those Q&A portions. And that being said, I'm just going to kick it off immediately to Inex. Let me go ahead and get you over to them. Presenting today is Chuck Bartolomeo. He'll speak for a period of time, and then we'll have some time at the end for a Q&A. Thanks so much, Chuck, and I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you very much. So real brief, I've been involved with license plate recognition for well over 20 years, opening up several markets at Inex Technologies. Prior to that, I had worked for Motorola Communications for 18 years. And I'm also on the board of St. Anthony's High School, and I'm a varsity football referee. So who are we? Inex Technologies, we design, we develop, we manufacture our own license plate recognition devices and intelligent vehicle management systems. We're turnkey. We are a single source provider of this equipment. Interesting about our company, we were founded in 1993. We're founded back in Israel when the government and private industry and universities had the incubation system. And back then, technologies such as barcoding, optical character recognition, over-the-horizon radar, and other technologies were formed. An offshoot of that was optical character recognition, and thus Inex came into being back then. We have offices, we're an USA corporation now. We do have offices in research in Israel and Austria. So let's talk a little bit about some of our main marketplaces. Here's a toll road system. I believe that one's in Georgia. We have our systems in parking garages and hotels and casinos throughout the country. That's in Maryland. Excalibur is part of the MGM Grand system, 10 hotels connected together on a single system. We're also very large in the military marketplace. This is Malston Air Force Base out in Louisiana, where they keep all of the nuclear arsenal of the United States. West Point Military Academy, we've got license plate readers on the entrance for security. And I can go on, but I think the next slide shows a little bit about some of the pillars of American industry and how they're using Inex products, whether it be police for security, whether it be college campuses, or even just businesses for tracking vehicles. So Inex Technologies is very excited to be partnering with ResNexus and bringing our gate-saving access and visitor management solutions to the campground and hospitality industry. And I want to start here by showing a typical entryway of a campground, looking at the license plate reader cameras and the piece parts from Inex Technologies and the gate. And as you can see here, the gate is starting to open because we've just processed that vehicle. So how does it work? Well, the first thing that'll happen is the imager at the bottom here will take a look at this license plate number, ADL 4681, and it'll create an event. And the event will have the license plate number, the state, the reservation number, and the date. That information is sent to the Inex on-site processor, which sends the information into the cloud, which is also grabbing information from the ResNexus booking system. So the information is merged together, and we have a reservation list. And that reservation list will be all of the vital information on the reservation system. You've got the check-in date, the check-in time, how many adults, how many children are allowed, some other information on camper size, what type of camper, and you've got your rates. And then if you click again, you've got to verify that with the license plate number, which would have been the New York's license plate number. So what does this do? Well, we can open the gate automatically, and that will eliminate your backlog or a person with a clipboard on throughput. And we have a reservation list, a vendor list, we can employee list, and we can separate who's at the gate and at what time. Visitors, very important, and permanent residents. And most important, you can open the gate from a phone or a computer. Benefits. This is really an important slide, and I'm going to dwell on it a little bit. So it's an automated process, so you don't need an attendant there with a clipboard and a bottleneck of trying to find out who's there. It's pretty accurate in terms of who belongs there and who doesn't. Contactless entry, again, automated process, increasing security. Um, there's no doubt of a vehicle coming in, whether it belongs there, whether it belongs at the right time. Accuracy. Um, Over the last 20 years, the technology has grown from its initial infancy of 70, 80% accuracy till today, which is documented at 99.68, 99.8% accuracy in various states throughout the United States. And because it's so accurate, it's seamless to you. And obviously the bottom line is it's going to increase your revenue. If you utilize the system, it will make your job easier, seamless, more reliable. Um, you can report on visitors. For example, I'll give you a scenario. The visitor paid for a day but stayed for a week. Again, you're tracking that vehicle going in and leaving the facility, and it's proof of concentrating on improving revenue. Let me give you a real life story of an incident over at Cozy Hills. It happened, I believe, a few months back. There was an abduction of a camper, a young child, and people reported it to the campground. The campground immediately went into the system and got the license plate number associated with the abduction. It was in the middle of the night. It wasn't too hard to find. Reported to the police department, and there was a happy ending. So it's an enhanced level of security also with using the system. So we'll talk a little bit about camera placement and setup. Um, Here we have a front and a rear license plate. You can see the line in pink where the rear license plate is camera is positioned and the front license plate camera is positioned. Typically, there's more than enough room at any gatehouse to accommodate this. There's the rear camera. Um, a little bit about the quality. So the Inex imager you can see in the daytime, very crisp, clear. You can see the insignia on the car. High resolution, high multi-million pixel count camera. And then at night, a lot of people will say, well, what happens at night with your camera? What is going to happen? Um, there is no difference. When we do our accuracy studies, we'll do it at a base of 30, 40,000 vehicles over the course of 2 or 3 weeks. And that's day and night, 24/7. So at night, you can see headlights do not affect the reading of a license plate. Um, Operates actually at zero ambient light level. Getting back to accuracy, we've got the city of Brockton, Massachusetts, with one of our operators in the pay parking world. We did a 2-month trial, and I think the Brockton, Massachusetts was 8,000 vehicles, and there's your 99.68 accuracy. We had nothing to do with the study; it was all done independently. Other uses for our equipment, we can talk about the hospitality world. So in a typical facility such as this, maybe it's near a beach and you've got a parking lot for guests. You have all of the advantages of a campground if you put the license plate reader system on the entryway, with or without a gate. And if somebody's parking your facility that doesn't belong there, you'll have an immediate notification and a way of, again, increasing your efficiency. So I just touched upon gateless security, and some key bullet points are: protect your valuable parking spaces. Know who's on premise at all times. So you've got real-time reporting of how many vehicles are on, how many vehicles are off, time in, time out. And that's through recording of all events with a photograph. Fast forensics. You can enter a license plate number into the system and pull up that vehicle and get the history of that vehicle anytime. And we're going to give you an alert, which is if a vehicle does not belong in the facility and it's tagged as such, you'll know immediately that this vehicle is an alerted vehicle. The Inex interface and reports. So this is a simple browser cloud-based interface without a server. And you can see the lower entryway at the time and the reservation number. And then we've got the same thing at a minute later, the reservation number and the license plate. Reservation information automatically populates the iCloud reservation list. So these columns will show each event has an ID number for tracking. All your license plates are listed, your time in, your date in, your date out, guest name if you want to have that populated in there, your status, and again, your time of your last entry. So pretty comprehensive, pretty easy to read. We drill down a little bit more. We can see the action, whether the gate is going to open or not open for a particular license plate. And this is, you can actually, your operator can go in there and change the first license plate to deny for whatever reason at the last minute. So all of this is real-time data. It can be modified and changed, but it's operating automatically. Other important information. I am going to turn this over to our lead engineer and project manager, Eric Pardo, who's a couple of pay grades above me in terms of the piece parts of how it all works for those that are more technically inclined.
Thank you, Chuck. So how we're getting the information from ResNexus is as soon as you put in the information in ResNexus and have them check in or wherever you want it to go over to our IC Cloud, it's all configurable. Once you want it to go over to our IC Cloud system, it'll sync up with IC Cloud, and IC Cloud will be talking to that little black box on site. And that black box is what's going to process the license plates that are coming in. They'll read them, and if it's on the list of approved vehicles, it'll open the gate automatically. A nice advantage of this is even if you do lose internet access, it's still going to allow license plates based off of the last list that it got from the cloud system. And these are just dry contacts, so it'll work with pretty much any gate out there. 99.9% of them are going to have some kind of dry contact opening mechanism. That'll open up the gates and leave. Let's see. Yeah. So the gate controller will be either inside the gate box, it could be in the office, as long as it's somewhere on site, doesn't really matter. The front and rear license plates will capture those plates coming in. Gate will open, cars will roll right through. Here's a look at some of the equipment that will be coming with our components. It'll be 2 cameras for the entrance that'll capture the front and rear license plates, 1 DPU box per lane. So the exit lane is going to have 1 camera, typically a rear camera. And move on. And this is typically what it's going to look like on site. You'll have a PoE switch that's going to power both cameras. You only have to run a PoE line, just 1 line, nice and easy for installation. The IZI DPU will be somewhere on site, typically with the gates, and that'll connect with internet access to the IC cloud. And I'm gonna pass it back over to Chuck so he can discuss about the costs.
So here's the big $64,000 question for those of you that remember that TV show from way back when. It starts at $2,300, and I want to just say something real quick. When this technology came out 20 years ago, and it was much less accurate and many more piece parts, and fewer markets. It was mostly the tolling world and police. Folks were paying well over $10,000 per lane and happy to do it. So as the technology has increased and the computers became more powerful, and we went into the digital world, and our support has gone to the next generation. We've managed to get the price down to about $2,300 per lane. That's remarkable, and we've opened up several new markets because of that. So for a campground, it's a one-time charge, $2,300 for your hardware, and then there's a subscription rate, $1 per month. There's a few other charges based upon how many campers and what ResNexus is getting, but it's an automated process. And the other thing I want to talk about cost, which I forgot, which is really important. In the United States, there's 1,500 different types of license plates, and states are in the business of generating license plates for profit. And there's constantly new license plates that are being generated. A classic example is the state of Maryland. A few years back, they went to what's called a fractional license plate, a 1 over a 2. And with our competitors and other systems, the accuracy rates are dramatically dropping because the system didn't recognize these new characters. Now, when you have the cloud-based system and our software, all of this is done automatically. So if Massachusetts, for example, issues a new license plate for left-handed veterans of the American Civil War, that patch from our engineering guys is automatically downloaded, and it's seamless to you. So your accuracy is always going to be there. So this is a bottom line cost. There are no additional costs to have your system operational. Back to the hardware components, Eric talked about it. This is typically all you need for your entry and exit gates. We talked a little bit about your bed and breakfast or hospitality marketplaces. Little different cost because it's typically different type of configuration. It's a little less for the hardware. And then the monthly subscription rate is based on room, obviously. And then we have minimums, and then the ResNexus cost per month. Again, turnkey. There are the charges you're looking at here. It's turnkey. There are no additional surprises anywhere down the road. So what are the key advantages? Let's summarize everything here. One, you're increasing security. You're tracking all your vehicles. I gave you a classic example. And you're really tying up, you're taking if you had a video camera system, you're taking it to the next level with the license plate reader system. Eliminating bottlenecks. Friday afternoon, you got 18 trailers, RV vehicles trying to get in at the same time, and somebody's got a problem with a reservation. The bottleneck goes away. It's an automated process. It's all there in black and white. How do you increase revenue through vehicle tracking? Well, we talked about it. You can decrease your operational costs by eliminating people at the gate. They're fully integrated with the ResNexus, system, the reservations system. It's seamless. There's no additional clicks. Everything is automatic. Again, it's cloud-based. There's no need to have any servers on site and dealing with that. And the performance and analytic tools, I mentioned it. Your accuracy rate is always going to be near perfect. It's affordable at this price. Any campground could make this system an investment, and it pays itself back in a few months. Thank you.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much, Chuck and Eric, for that excellent presentation. And at this time, we are also going to open it up to any questions anyone has. You can go ahead and drop those into the questions field. And also, if you want to get in contact with Inex Technologies, then you can do so using this website, phone number, and the email is for Anna, the Sales and Marketing Director. You can reach out to her. And yeah, at this time, we will open it up to any questions. Okay, looks like we've got one question and a couple questions coming in so far. Okay, so one person asks, for pricing, is the monthly ResNexus monthly price in addition to the Inex monthly price or in place of? Okay, so so it looks like the ResNexus pricing is in addition to that, so it's going to be added on to. Real quick, I also had a few questions I want to get over first for the Inex team. First, I wanted to ask about the gate access. So the gate access functionality looks awesome. You mentioned that it works with the vast majority of existing gate systems, but I'm sure people are wondering, does Inex do any gate installation for properties themselves?
We do not do any gate installations ourselves.
Okay, great. I just thought that would be great to clear up for everyone so they would all be on the same page. Follow-up question for that. What does the setup process look like for someone who decides to use your system for their campground with the cameras and everything like that?
That's just going to be first installing the cameras, and then it's going to be calling us to get the cameras configured, to read plates properly, and to get everything dialed in and set up correctly.
Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so for the hardware components, I think people are also probably wondering, what exactly is covered in the $2,300 campground kit? What hardware would a campground receive at that price range?
That would just be the one camera and one DPU.
Okay, so that's kind of the starting price right there.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
kind of likewise. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I think it's 2 cameras and 1
That's
DPU
2 cameras?
for the
Okay.
23. For 23.
2 cameras and one DPU then.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure we had that cleared up. And then likewise, what's covered in the $1,600 bed and breakfast kit?
That's the one camera and one DPU.
Okay, cool, great. I just wanted to make sure we had that cleared up. You guys also talked about how properties can expect more revenue by using the Inex system. Do you think you guys can elaborate on that at all? Like, for example, do you see parks using fees for extra guest vehicles and using the Inex system to keep track of that kind of thing?
Well, a major advantage would be if someone is overstaying their welcome, for example, in one of your campsites, you would be able to be notified how long they've been there. You can go check the campsite to make sure they left, make sure it's cleared up. And yeah, it's great for tracking who's coming in and leaving.
Okay, great. Looks like we got a lot of questions coming in, so let me see if I can field some more of these to you guys. Someone asks, for golf carts or other vehicles without plates, can we have a secondary access method, PIN code or card?
Yes, we can. That is a separate system that we can have for a PIN code or card reading.
Can I also mention that you could put an old license plate number or a vanity plate number on your golf cart, and it will work just fine.
Great. Let's see. Another question is, can the system be turned on or off to allow for daily deliveries by multiple deliveries?
Well, we can add their license plates to our system if they only have so many delivery trucks. So over time, after you've added 10 of them, you've pretty much added all of their trucks. But you can also turn it off and on whenever you'd like.
Okay, great. I think that's very helpful. I'm not really sure what this one means. Front number plate does not have an official number plate, for example, Sure Camper.
Oh, so are we talking like the front and rear license plates are different? Well, if either the front or the rear plate is recognized by our system, it'll open the gate.
People tend to be pretty sensitive. This person says people tend to be pretty sensitive about data. How is the data from ResNexus stored and who has access to it? Is it shared with other businesses? So that sounds more like a ResNexus side of things.
So ResNexus does not share any of the guest information with any other businesses without it being a connection where which information being shared with the third party is consented to by the subscriber. So like in the gate use case, we share enough information with Inex to just say, hey, this vehicle should have access. We don't share it with any other businesses. It's just what's agreed to.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We're running out of time here for the Q&A portion of this section. We just do a lightning round, just a couple more here. One person just asked, can I use my existing gate? And I think the answer to that is yes, right? Like you're able to integrate with any existing gate someone has pretty much.
Yes.
Okay, great. Just wanted to get that out there. And then one person asks, what if they are towing a trailer? How does that work?
If the trailer has a license plate, we can read that license plate. They'll
What
have to
if-
add it into the system.
Okay. All right, fantastic. And there are some other questions here, but we're going to have to get to those after the webinar. I'll go ahead and forward those onto the Inex team or the ResNexus team as appropriate, but we have to move on to our second half of the webinar. Thanks everyone so much. Thanks to the Inex team for coming on for this one. And I'm going to now transition over to the TopTipper team. So first of all, as part of the webinar registration for this one, we actually asked a couple of questions. We ran a little survey for registrants. And one of the questions we asked was, have you experienced or are you experiencing labor issues, shortages, difficulty recruiting or retaining staff? And we had almost 68% of people said yes to that question. And the follow-up was, if the answer was yes, have you had to increase the salaries of your staff in response? And we had almost the same percentage. We had about 65% also say yes to that question. So that's going to kind of help us put things in perspective for the TopTipper side of things. So I'm going to go ahead and transition over to you guys now.
Hi, welcome everybody to today's presentation on TopTipper and ResNexus and how you can enhance your hiring and reward employees. TopTipper is a tipping platform that is designed to offer seamless and simple cashless tipping via web tipping or through a QR code. I'm David Waxman. I'm the co-founder and CEO of TopTipper. I'm from Philadelphia. I attended Boston University. In addition to TopTipper, I also am the co-founder and managing partner of Partners, a real estate development company based here in Philadelphia. When I'm not working, I like to collect cars and art, hang out with my family, 2 young children, and when they let me, spend some time reading nonfiction, very few and far between, but sometimes it happens.
Great, and I am Dimitri Pervin. I am also the co-founder and the CTO of TopTipper, so I handle all of the day-to-day technical aspects of the app and also more of the high-level and strategic roadmap in terms of features and other various rollouts. I am a Philadelphia native, so I grew up in the Philadelphia area. I attended Temple University. I've been working in a number of different industries since I graduated, and creating this app really has been a passion project for me. I think we can do a lot of good in the world and have a positive imprint a lot of people's lives with this type of app. Interesting stuff. So I absolutely love to travel. Just got back from Portugal. We're going to Costa Rica next, my wife and I. Love going to concerts, and just mentioned my wife. We did just get married, and I'm lucky that she also loves to travel and go to concerts just as much as me. So yeah, it's a little bit about me.
So today we're going to take you through a couple items. We're going to talk about the industry trends as to why this is the right time for TopTipper. We're going to explain what TopTipper is. We're going to explain how it works. And then the best part is we're going to show you how you can quickly and seamlessly get started with TopTipper, rolling it out across your properties. So I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here. Everyone who's watching is having trouble hiring, as everyone is in every business, not just in America, but across the country. Hospitality has obviously been even harder hit, and everyone is struggling to not only hire, but retain their talent. And it's not a good situation. So just some quick stats. And again, I know I'm preaching to the choir here. You all know this, you're living it, but you know, it's an industry-wide problem that the hospitality sector is down almost 40% jobs, which is an insane amount during this COVID period and post-COVID. And in terms of overall employment in the hospitality industry, it's down 15% from pre-pandemic levels, meaning there's almost 2.5 million less people to fill these jobs that still exist. At the same time, and obviously we see it at the gas pump, we see it at the grocery store, energy bill, there is inflation in the amount you need to pay hospitality workers. So at the same time you're struggling to hire people, you're having to pay more to try to get people in the door to even work for you and stay working for you. And almost half of the folks who have left the industry due to COVID are not willing to come back unless they can make more money. At the same time, we have more and more consumers who don't carry cash. I mean, how many of you watching this right now carry cash with you? I bet it's a very small percentage. In survey after survey, they find that most people either carry little or no cash with them at all times. Particularly millennials, not to pick on them, but it is fun to pick on them. They really don't carry cash, and they are using different forms of digital payments, whether it's Venmo or PayPal, which in turn means it's hard to tip folks when you're at a hotel, a B&B, or a glamping site. So the industry is starting to come around and address this issue. So, you know, if you've gone to the local coffee shop or a quick service restaurant, you've seen the tipping built into the flow of the checkout. You're seeing restaurants add tips to them, to meals automatically, or service charges. Even Twitter has a tip jar feature to tip people that are, you know, particularly good Twitterers, if that's the right word. So it's starting to become part of culture that you're not just tipping at restaurants or hotels. You're really sort of tipping everywhere now, and that's where people are headed to. Common thread here is that in order to get the best employees, they need to be better paid and also recognized. Getting tipped is a form of recognition that makes people feel better about themselves. And to hire and retain the best talent and to create a guest experience, it's important that you follow these guidelines as employers in terms of getting people better compensated and getting them the recognition. So obviously this is a loaded question. How can you compensate employees to attract the best talent and at the same time not burden your bottom line as all of your costs have been increasing due to inflation? And that's where TopTipper comes in. We are a tipping platform as well as app that allows hospitality companies like yours to easily roll out a convenient and easy cashless tipping solution to allow all the folks that work for you and for your guests to get tips and get recognition. And it's all at zero cost to your organization. By offering TopTipper as part of your compensation package, you'll find you'll have happier employees, you'll have better employee output, and then implementing TopTipper shows your guests that you care about your employees, and we think all of these things together will result in just a better guest experience. Last holiday season, we rolled out TopTipper with a property management company in the Philadelphia area, and they used it for staff tipping during the holidays. Typically, staff tipping is cash in an envelope left at the front desk for employees, so you don't see a ton of tipping. This year, staff earned $500 more each, and 50% more tenants participated than in previous years. And this really points to, by offering a solution like this that makes it so easy for guests, you're going to see more tipping, which is going to result in higher pay to your employees, which is happier employees, and in turn, not to beat a dead horse, a better guest experience. I'm going to turn it over now to Dimitri, my co-founder and CTO, to walk you through how TopTipper works.
Thanks, David. Hi, everybody. So I'm going to jump right in. So the first step is a TopTipper account is created at no cost to your organization. The image here is a screenshot of a dashboard once you log in. There's a few basic setup procedures for new partners, but we have a number of configuration options that can be altered to fit your business, such as tipping for the entire property as one pool, having the reporting broken out by even service role or employee, so on and so forth. A lot of cool configuration options. It is also the place where you can verify and input some information into our payment processor Stripe, information such as business name, bank account, that will be the destination for the tips that will be deposited, and a number of other configuration options that I'll dive into a little bit later. So your account will be assigned a unique web address and a corresponding QR code. And if you follow either one, or if a guest rather follows either one, they will be taken to the same place, which is the tipping page for the property. But one cool thing to point out is that the text after the / after TopTipper, as you can see there, that can be customized to reflect your organization or property name. So I mentioned that if guests follow the URL or the QR code, they are taken the same place, and that is the tipping screen. So if a guest does not have the app installed, the link will just open in a web browser, and then they're taken to a screen to send the tip. And the best part is they don't have to create an account or even download an app, because let's face it, it's pretty annoying to have to download an app to pretty much do anything. I don't know how many times I've sat in a restaurant and looked at a menu and it makes me download an app. Drives me nuts. So we tried to make it as absolutely as seamless and easy for the guest. But if they do have the app installed and they scan the QR, then the tipping screen gets opened inside the app. And in the app, they can see all sorts of things like tip transaction history. They get points for tipping, which corresponds to a leaderboard feature, where we're exploring various ways to encourage tipping, like assigning giveaways or tip matching programs to the highest tippers in the area. So things along those lines. But again, not necessary to download the app or even create an account as the tipper. You can do this whole thing as a guest. Okay, so I'll dive a little bit deeper into how guests can tip. So they can tip in one of two ways. So the first one is sending a tip following the URL, which is quite a powerful tool. So we can support integration with ResNexus in this regard. And as an example, a customer automated communication, as you can see here through a text, can actually be edited to include your unique URL that you see here. So essentially it becomes an automated self-managing tipping mechanism for your staff. This does seem to be the preferred method that properties like to adopt for their tipping solution. It allows for the automation and you don't have to manually put QR codes across the property. But again, we like to offer various options for different properties. So the second option for tipping is the QR code scanning method. Here, QR codes are strategically placed throughout the property. You can place them inside rooms, inside special service areas such as spas, yoga, so on and so forth, even a front desk if that's available. Guests can scan the QR and are again taken to the organization's tipping page. We also do provide custom QR code collateral. The wood engraving sign you see here is an example of the ones that we did. This one's actually my favorite. I think it works really well with those glamping type of properties, gives it a bit of a rustic vibe. And also these customized collateral, the wood one, for example, these can be customized to reflect your property's branding and include text that you would like as well to see if this is something that doesn't work for you. So we can customize this as well. So with both of these solutions, essentially we're providing guests with the option to easily send the tip to well-deserving staff at their own time and convenience. That bank account that I mentioned that is integrated with Stripe via the dashboard, that is going to be the recipient of all of the tip transactions. Tips are deposited into that account within 1 to 2 business days, and then we provide a detailed report on all tip transaction data, which I will actually go over a bit more in the next slide. So the administrative dashboard for organizations, that is a powerful tool that is also available at your disposal, and it is also included in the partnership free of charge. So along with the various customization options that are available, the dashboard has a detailed reporting section on key tipping metrics. So there's things such as tip frequency, distribution, and average. We can break that down per property, service role type, even employees. We can filter on custom time date ranges. One that probably makes sense is a pay period, but again, that can be filtered to whatever date range that you see fit. We even have a report for email addresses for high frequency and or high dollar amount tippers. A lot of the boutique shops don't have the reward programs or incentive programs that some of these larger chains have. And so this kind of gives you the option to be a bit creative with some of these programs if that's something you'd like to do. And the one in blue is an important one. So this one provides a full tip transaction history, and it shows the distribution amount between property, service roles, employees, etc. This can be automated to send at a set interval, which is great. So if you don't even want to log into the dashboard and be burdened by that, that can be sent directly to your email. Okay, so I mentioned the wood engraving sign that I personally love. TopTipper can provide that to properties that wish to adopt this method. So we have various styles available. And for early adopters with the partnership, we are running a promotion where we can provide this collateral to you free of charge. So if you decide that the wood panel design makes sense for your property, we will get those printed up and sent over to you free of charge for you to display around the property. The other option is all property owners can print their own QR code material straight from their dashboard, and they can display that throughout the property as well. It's of course not going to be as fancy as a wood panel design or a magnetic frame, but you do have the option to print that out. You do have access to your own QR codes if you want to run that through your own type of design mechanism. Totally up to you, but all of those things are available for you at your disposal. Now I'm going to demonstrate how you can incorporate this TopTipper functionality into ResNexus. So once you've signed up for an account and first log into your organization dashboard, you'll see a main screen just like this one. So to demonstrate the integration portion, you'll navigate to the tip administration menu by clicking either here on the left-hand side or the top right menu. On the tip administration screen, you're presented with a number of customization options. I mentioned you can configure your account to the level of granularity that aligns with your business use case. We have had property managers that just want to have one QR or URL for the entire property for the most high-level solution, and that's perfectly fine. But you do have the option to specify other levels of granularity, such as services and even employees that are part of those services. So for example, if you click on Manage Services, you're presented with a list of services for the hotels and lodging category. For this example, you can see that the front desk, the massage and spa, and the housekeeping services have been activated. And you can activate and inactivate these services accordingly here by clicking these icons. And so you have two icons here that are important. The first one here, if you click this QR button, this opens a QR code card in a separate window here, and this is the QR code that guests can scan in order to be taken directly to the tipping page for the front desk, for example, which is the QR that we clicked on. And then correspondingly, they can click this button here to copy the link and then be taken to the front desk for your property, or the front desk tipping page, I should say. All right, so if I go back to tip administration, you can also manage an employee list for pool tipping. And so if you click this, this is where you can create employees and assign them to the services that were enabled in the previous screen. And so if I want to create an employee and assign them to the massage and spa service, I can certainly do that. So I'm just going to make up a name here, massage and spa, and this drop down here shows the services that were enabled in the previous screen. Okay. Okay, and these are all optional here. Only the ones with the star are required. And you can actually also upload a profile photo, and when a guest scans the QR code or follows the URL for this employee, their profile picture will actually show up on the top of the screen. Okay, so I'm not going to do that here, but that is available. So if I click submit, this will take you back to the employee list, and now you can see we've created a Joanna Smith under massage and spa, and this employee is active. So now I'll demonstrate a few tip transactions in the system and show how TopTipper reporting displays this information to provide you with visibility into tips for your staff. So if I go back to the tip administration menu, I can access my organization QR code by clicking this button here. This button here allows me to copy the URL for my organization. So if I click that, I'm then taken to the tipping screen. Now, I can send the tip directly to the organization itself, the property level, not specify service role, and not specify an employee. And in this case, the reporting would reflect that. So I'm going to send a tip of $7. And as you can see, the top tipper fees and our payment processor fee is reflected as soon as you put that amount in. Okay, put them. And here you can leave a note for the employee if you wish to thank them. Okay, proceed to payment information. And so I'm going to put in some dummy credit card information, but if you were on a mobile device, we do offer Apple Pay and Google Pay, and those buttons would show up accordingly depending on the operating system that you're running. Okay, and I'm going to hit Pay Now, and that's it. And then you're taken to a tip confirmation page, and guests can create an account right from this page by adding a user ID and password and continuing, but again, not required, and you can just go ahead and exit. Now, if I go back to my dashboard, I can see that that $7 tip shows up as a transaction for today. So I'm going to demo one more tip to show you how the reporting reflects the different use cases for granularity on the tip level. So if I go back to that URL that the guests will follow, in this use case, I know that I'd worked with Joanna Smith and I received a massage service, for example. Joanna did a great job. I'm going to tip her $9. Okay, thanks so much, Joanna. Okay, I'm going to proceed to payment information as I did before. Okay, pay now. And now this tip had gone directly to Joanna. And so if I go back to my top tipper dashboard, I'll now see that $9 tip for massage and spa and the $7 tip to the pooled house. Clicking on this reporting tab, what I really want to show you is this tip transaction history report. And this is the report that provides a lot of detail on the tip flow for your property. And so here are the two sample tips that we had just sent, the $9 and the $7. As you can see in the report, the $7 tip we had sent on an organization level. And in that, the $7 went to a pool tipping house with no service role and no employee specified. And so reporting reflects that accordingly. And then the second tip, Karen Smith had sent $9 specifically to Joanna Smith for massage and spa service. There is also an export button to CSV, which it looks like it's hidden by this filter. And just keep in mind, this is our dev environment, so it can get a little bit wonky. In our live environment, this button is actually visible and right here, and it says export. So a little bit embarrassed about that, but that's okay. I can actually, it looks like it does let me click it. So if I click it, I can then export this report, and then this will open up as a CSV file. And so this CSV file report provides you with a full transaction history of all the tips that went through for your organization. One other feature I'd like to mention is there will be a feature available shortly where we can automate the emailing of this report to your inbox at a predetermined cadence. And so if you don't want to have to log into this dashboard and manually export this and save that file, you can then email this report to your inbox bi-weekly, monthly, whatever cadence that you see fit. Okay. So please note, this isn't a fully automated integration at this time. So there is the manual component where you do need to copy and paste this URL on the ResNexus side. So I would like to hand it over to Gavin to show you that portion. Gavin, please go right ahead.
Perfect, thank you, Dimitri. And like you said, now I'm going to go ahead and show you how you can use the tipping URL in your ResNexus marketing. So like you said, you can go ahead and copy the URL copy icon. And then you can switch over to your ResNexus account. And from here, you can use that URL in a couple of ways. So one of them is you go under the marketing tab in your ResNexus back office, and then go into something like welcome and thank you emails. So I just put together one in here. So from here, you can go ahead and go into the email builder, and we've got one already set up here. So this thank you email would be sent automatically to guests after they complete a reservation. So this one currently says, first name, thanks so much for staying at our cabins, we loved having you as a guest, etc. And then at the end of this, we can go ahead and add in a section for tipping. So it might say something like, if you'd like to tip our staff for the service you received, you can do so using the following link. And then paste that link in there. And then that's it. You can go ahead and click Save Email. And if we go ahead and test this, let me send this to myself. And then if I go into my email, I can see that I have received it. So from here, I can click on the link provided, and it will instantly take me to a tipping page from which I can input a tip through TopTipper. So that's one way you can use the tipping URL for your marketing. Another way is you can use it through something like text messaging. So if we go back to ResNexus settings and search for text messaging, here it is, we can create a canned response. This might be a mid-stay text you send to someone in the middle of their reservation. So it might say something like, hello, and then their first name. How's your stay going? If there's anything else you need, please feel free to let us know. And then if you'd like to tip our staff, you can do so using the following link. And once again, you would just go ahead and copy that URL in there and click Save Changes. And then that's done. You now have a simple way to let your guests know about how they can easily tip your staff without having to use cash. So once again, there is no TopTipper integration page in ResNexus because all you really need is those QR codes and those URLs. And you can just copy those from TopTipper wherever you want to use them in your ResNexus back office or anywhere else. All right, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to the TopTipper team to wrap things up.
Great, thanks for running through that, Gavin. If you have any questions on usability or integration, you can also reach out to support@toptipper.co and we'll get back to you ASAP.
So, in summary, there is a ton of benefits to leveraging TopTipper as your tipping solution. It's a convenient and easy way to reward and recognize our much deserving service industry employees. Again, it is at no cost to your organization whatsoever. All transaction fees are taken out at the tip transaction level and on the guest side. Also, in an increasingly cashless world, having TopTipper in place as a digital solution ensures your staff is not missing out on tips that would have come if the guests did have cash on hand. And as mentioned in the prior slides, we have a ton of robust features to support you on your journey, including detailed reporting of tip transaction information and history. Okay, so how to get started. You can always email us at hello@toptipper.co. Someone will respond ASAP. Or you can get a head start and fill out our intake form at this link right here. We'll get that directly and get you all set up with an organization account. You'll receive an email where you can set your password and you're ready to go. Okay, and that is the presentation.
Great, thanks so much, David and Dimitri. At this time, we're going to go ahead and open it up to any questions anyone has. So you can go ahead and submit those in the questions field, and we will try and get those answered for you. All right, let's see, we have one question. Someone asked, is the data reported to the IRS? I imagine that's for tax purposes and stuff like that. So that would be a question maybe for TopTipper as well as maybe Casey.
I know on the ResNexus side, we do not directly report anything to the IRS ourselves. I'm not sure on the TopTipper side.
Yeah, I can speak to the
On the TopTipper side. Oh, go ahead, Dimitri.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, on the TopTipper side, we also do not report anything to the IRS. So that is why we give you visibility into that tip transaction history report so that you can use that data at your disposal.
Okay, great. I had a question myself. We're running out of time here, but I think we might have time for this one. Can you tell us more about the different ways that you can set up the tipping allocation? So I saw there was the setting where you can enable individual tipping, but can you tell us more about the difference between the two options and why someone might choose one over the other?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a number of different settings we can set. So we have had use cases where an organization doesn't want to get granular at all. So they just want to have tips flow to one pooled house for the property, and that's it. And then it's dispersed evenly that way. But we do have granularity, so you can create services specific to your property that you'd like to receive tips for. And so then guests can choose specific services that they'd like to tip. And then you can also create an employee and assign that to a service. So that gives you even more additional granularity for tipping as well. So it gives you a lot of different options for how you want to set that up. Really just depends on your use case. We also do offer individualized tipping. That's a little bit different, and we didn't go into that in the demo. But essentially, it's a use case where service workers can create their own TopTipper accounts. They wouldn't even have to go through organization dashboard, and they would receive those tips individually directly to their bank accounts. We found that for a lot of properties that gets a bit cumbersome, because then you're having to track different employee signups and making sure that everybody creates an account and downloads the app. And so that's disabled by default. And we found that those three use cases between an organization level, a service level, and an employee list really cover a lot of the granularity that folks are looking for the solution.
Okay, great. That makes a lot of sense. I don't see any more questions at this time, and we're just about at time, so I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it here. But I'd like to thank you so much for coming on and giving this great presentation about TopTipper to everyone.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And have a good day, everyone.